college I discovered the DNA that makes up all the organisms on this planet and the theory of evolution, and got very excited about it. Back then there wasn't much DNA to study. We had the DNA sequences of a few viruses, a few pieces of E. coli, but I could see the potential, and I got very excited about analyzing DNA. Worked on it when I was studying for my PhD with my advisor Andre Erfoyt at the University of Colorado. And afterwards, in my faculty position at Santa Cruz, I studied machine learning and started to get excited about how the brain works. And now I've kind of put those things together. I want to know how our brain evolved, so what genes changed to allow for the human brain to have its special cognitive powers, and how does it work, right? So how do brain circuits work? And that's been an area of enormous advances over the last few years, but most of it's still to come. So it's a very exciting area. Well, the most exciting thing we did was get involved in the Human Genome Project, and we were originally involved because we had special technology, hidden Markov models in particular, that would build models of the protein coding regions of the DNA, genes essentially. So find the genes in the DNA sequences of organisms when we sequenced them. We did this for the fruit fly with Craig Venter, who was a rogue entrepreneur who started Celera. And then the public project recruited us to work with them for the human genome sequence. And getting involved with that effort, it was 20 groups all around the world sequencing pieces of DNA from the human genome with the hopes of putting it together to assemble the first view of our heritage. And an amazing student, Jim Kent here at Santa Cruz, actually wrote the code that put together those DNA pieces as part of this public consortium. And just in time, because we then were racing with this company Celera to try to come up with the first draft of our genetic heritage. And because Jim assembled it at the last minute before a planned meeting at the White House, we were honored the next week, this was July 7th, 2000, with the opportunity to post that sequence on the internet. So the most exciting moment really was when we posted the first draft of the human genome on the internet. And the important thing there was to make it available for everybody to study and learn from and appreciate the beauty of our heritage. So now I get up in the morning and I think, wow, okay, we've studied the human genome now for almost 20 years, and we've looked at the genome of the chimpanzee, orangutan, the rhesus monkey. We've even looked at the genome of our closest relative, the Neanderthals. And in that, we find that evolution definitely was at work. We see that there were ancient versions of genes that have been changed and then changed again during our particular evolution. But the genome is huge, 3 billion bases of DNA. And there's some parts of it that we still don't know much about. So I get up in the morning and I want to explore that unexplored territory, the mysterious parts of the human genome, especially the ones that we have indications may be critical in building a human brain. So that's the real question. How do you build a human brain? And how did evolution learn to build a human brain? These are huge, huge questions that will have profound effects on the future. In a medical sense, certainly neurodevelopmental disorders like autism and other types of developmental delay are something that we don't understand well enough. But even beyond the health applications, just the fundamental deep question of looking at ourselves and trying to understand who is it that's looking at this point? How are we built? I can't think of a more exciting question. Santa Cruz has an extraordinary environment that will allow us to do biotech here, I think, in a in a new way. We are in an environment that people want to live in. It's literally paradise in terms of the actual physical environment here. Great place to raise a family. But it's also close to the action. It's really part, on the periphery of, but part of the Bay Area, which is really number one in biotech. Certainly if you think about the interaction or the sum of biotech and infotech, this is an amazing hotbed of activity right here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And increasingly, people want to have it all. In a sense, they'd like to live in paradise and also be where the action is, and that's exactly what Santa Cruz is. It's also got a lot of potential. You see, especially on the west side of Santa Cruz, there are many, many places where you can imagine building enterprises that are the kind of enterprise people in Santa Cruz want to have. Something that's non-polluting, something that is actually implementing a social good, as most of this technology can and does, and something everyone would be proud of. I'm deeply honored to accept this award as a 2020 Titan of Tech. I think it's not so much on my behalf, but on the behalf of the extraordinary team that I've had the pleasure to work with over the last 20 years here, since we started the Genomics Institute here in Santa Cruz. And that, it's for those accomplishments that all of that exceptional team has done that I accept this award. And I look forward to much more activity now that we're on the west side here in the Genomics Institute, surrounded by exciting biotech companies.